This lesson is based on the textbook Modern Welding, 11th edition. If an alternate edition is used of Modern Welding, you will have to look up the chapter that pertains to the material covered. Chapter 1. Safety in the Welding Shop. Objectives. Identify several common causes of accidents. Recognize possible safety hazards in the welding shop or other work environments. Select and properly use safety equipment appropriate to working conditions. Recognize and evaluate potential safety hazards and react appropriately to prevent accidents. Safety and health risks. Welding can pose safety and health risks to welders. Some hazards are related to welding equipment. Burns, eye damage, electrical shock. Proper work practices can reduce risks. Accidents. Some personal factors may be responsible for accidents. Stress, illness or fatigue, lack of job knowledge or wisdom, age, poor attitude, or drugs. Accidents. Some physical factors may be responsible for accidents. Equipment failure, time of day, housekeeping. Accidents. Some factors related to accidents are in the control of the worker. There are 3 important safety factors: staying healthy in mind and body, becoming well-trained and aware of hazards, and having a good attitude regarding safety rules, equipment, and training. General shop safety. Welders should be familiar with the latest safety and health information. Hazards can be controlled through training and using safety equipment. Welders should have a working knowledge of instructions related to equipment and materials used. If you have questions about safety, ask. Safety. Every welder should know first aid and be able to respond quickly to treat injuries that occur in the welding shop. Safety shower. A welding shop often has a safety shower and eye wash stations. Clothing and personal safety. Workers in the shop should wear appropriate clothing. Work clothes or coveralls, a cap to protect hair, leather gloves, steel-toed safety shoes. Flame retardant materials help prevent burns. Safety. Everyone should wear goggles or approved safety glasses while in the shop. Gloves should be worn to protect against flames, sparks, and hot or sharp metal. Arc welders should wear a welding helmet with the correct lens for the process and amperage being used. Clothing and personal safety. This welder is wearing protective clothing. Arc helmet, cap or beanie, gloves, leather apron and sleeves, jeans without tears, and leather steel-toed shoes. Housekeeping. Housekeeping is an important factor in shop safety. Keep floors and workbenches clean. Keep combustibles and flammable liquids away from sparks and hot metal. Keep aisles clear of hoses and cables. Fire and electrical hazards. Keep combustibles in steel cabinets in accordance with fire codes. Clearly mark fire exits and extinguishers. Conduct periodic fire drills. Mark all equipment and areas where 220 volts or more are used. Safety. Place a sign stating danger, high voltage in appropriate areas. Electrical equipment must be installed and repaired only by trained technicians. Machinery hazards. Operate machinery only after being trained on how it works and its safety features. The pedestal grinder is one of the most dangerous pieces of equipment in the shop. Other hazards. Dust, fumes, and metal particles are hazards that require shops to be well ventilated. Training in how to lift objects safely can reduce lifting injuries. Safety hazards should be well marked. Hand and power tools should be examined before use. Designated areas. Welding and cutting should be done in designated areas designed for this use. Concrete floors, arc filter screens, protective drapes, fire extinguishers. Combustibles should not be near welding or cutting areas. Health hazards. It is important to recognize conditions that may be hazardous to health. Carbon monoxide can build to dangerous levels. Reducing furnaces may have dangerous emissions. Inert gases can be dangerous in confined spaces. Coatings on metal can give off fumes. Toxic substances should be avoided. Ionizing radiations may cause cataracts. Health hazards. This table shows safe limits for some welding fumes. Safety. Workers in areas with inert gases must wear an air-supplied purifier or self-contained breathing equipment. Welding areas must be well ventilated. Fumes from some metal coatings are dangerous or even lethal. Appropriate safety goggles can protect eyes from ultraviolet radiation. Ventilation. Adequate ventilation is required to remove toxic fumes and dust. An air-supplied breathing apparatus may be needed if toxic fumes are present. A powered air purifier provides clean air from a filter worn around the waist or built into the helmet. An air-supplied respirator provides clean air through a hose from a central source. Safety. Adequate and approved ventilation must be provided in all welding, cutting, brazing, and soldering operations. Also ensures proper removal of toxic fumes, smoke, dust, and dirt. Air purifying respirators will not filter out toxic fumes or provide oxygen. Suffocation hazards. Gases that displace oxygen in closed spaces can be very hazardous. Argon, carbon dioxide, helium. These gases are colorless and odorless. Safety. Confined spaces must be well ventilated. An air-supplied respirator may be required. Welders should be familiar with OSHA's material safety data sheets. Do not block entry of clean air and exit of contaminated air. Ensure that the welder can quickly be removed from an enclosed area. Safety. Only a specially trained person should weld or cut a container that has held flammable or hazardous materials. Proper procedures are described in AWS publication F4.1. Consult with the local fire marshal before working on such containers. Arc ray and spark hazards. Eye protection must be worn in the shop. Damage to eyes and skin from ultraviolet or infrared rays is a hazard. Leather, wool, or flame-retardant clothing can be worn to protect the body. High-top, hard-toed shoes are recommended. No matches or lighters should be carried in clothing. Other hazards. Pliers or tongs should be used to pick up metal parts. Gloves help prevent cuts. Hearing protection is needed to protect against high noise levels. Take precautions to avoid heat stress. Drink plenty of water. Use protective equipment to dissipate heat. Safety. Earmuffs or plugs should be worn for hearing protection when noise levels exceed 85 decibels. Cylinder and flammable gas hazards. Cylinders containing high-pressure gases should be stored correctly. When cylinders are moved, they must have safety caps in place. Oxygen and other gases should be used at safe pressures. When welding is completed, the system must be bled of all gases from cylinder to torch tip. Safety. Acetylene gas must never be used at a working pressure on the gauge above 15 psi. When a regulator is not in use, the adjusting screw must be turned out until no pressure is felt. Cylinders should be secured properly. Fire hazards for welding or cutting. Always light the oxy-fuel gas torch with an approved torch lighter. To prevent fires, check valves and flashback arresters must be installed. Clear the area of combustible materials. Post at least one person as a fire watch. Perform welding and cutting at least 35 feet from flammable materials. Safety. If the torch is not in the welder's hand, it must be off. Fire extinguishers should be located throughout the shop and clearly marked. Fire extinguisher classifications. There are 4 classifications of flammable materials. Fire extinguishers are marked with different colors and letters. Type A, green triangle, for solid material fires. Type B, red square, for combustible liquid fires. Type C, blue circle, for electrical fires. And Type D, yellow star, for combustible metal fires. Fire extinguisher classifications. The illustration shows what some of the fire extinguisher labels may look like. Make sure you know where fire extinguishers are located. Make sure you know what each fire extinguisher can be used for. Arc welding and cutting safety. Many fires occur in buildings where arc welding or oxy-fuel cutting is done. Welders may need a hot work permit. Posting a fire watch is an important safety procedure. Many safety hazards deal with working around electricity. Electrical hazards. A safety inspection of the arc welding station should be made regularly. Carefully check cables, connectors, and electrode holders or welding guns. Never work with wet or damp gloves or on a wet or damp floor. Repairs to feed wire drives should be made only with the power off. Safety. Electrical repairs should be attempted only by qualified electricians. Arc ray hazards. An arc welding face shield with the correct filter shade number lens should be worn. The shield protects the eyes, face, and neck from burns. Burns may be caused by ultraviolet or infrared rays or by flying sparks. Burn hazards. Burns are the most common injury related to welding or cutting processes. There are 3 classifications of burns: 1st degree, 2nd degree, and 3rd degree. A 3rd degree burn is the most serious. For a 3rd degree burn, cover the area with sterile dressings and see that the person is taken to the hospital. Safety. In giving first aid for a 3rd degree burn, no water or ice should be placed on the burn area. No clothes should be removed from the burn area of the body. Do not put ointment, antiseptics, or home remedies on the burn area. Resistance welding safety. Resistance welders should wear goggles or a full faceplate to protect against flying sparks. Protective clothing and a cap help protect against hot and sharp metals. Welders should use caution to avoid being pinched when the machine electrodes close. Safety. A resistance welding operator should never work on a damp or wet floor. The welding operator should not open control panels of resistance welding machines. High voltages within the control cabinets are a hazard. Safety around welding robots. Special hazards are present with a robotic workstation. Never enter the work envelope of a robot when it is in operation. Wear goggles and protective clothing. Keep all combustibles stored a safe distance from the work area. Safety. At times, the work envelope must be entered to repair or adjust a robot. The power to the robot must be shut off at these times. The power switch should be locked or tagged to prevent it from being powered up. Special welding process safety. Special filter lenses should be worn to protect eyes when using laser welding. Hearing protection should be worn when noise levels exceed 85 decibels. Workers should have special training to protect against hazards related to explosion welding. Safety. With laser or electron beam radiation, the rays are much more intense than with other forms of welding. Everyone in the area should wear special filter lenses to protect their eyes.